Good afternoon, Dr. Barry here from Melbourne, Australia. I'm just going to ask a very, very simple question. Would our government lie to us? I'm waiting for the answers. No. Our government would not lie to us. In fact, it hasn't done for 33 years, lie to us. Yes, I'm not going mad. I'm just speaking fact. We don't have a government. Correct. We do not have a government. We have a large corporation registered in Washington, D.C. as the Corporation of Australia. Just like the States, more corporations incorporated in the next corporation. They've been lying to us for 33 years and, of course, beyond. Now, why do I mention 33 years? Because in 1986, Bob Hawke, at that time a Prime Minister, lied to the British Parliament about a referendum that, like the rest of them, 40 failed. He convinced the British Parliament and the Queen that we were in a situation wanting to leave the Commonwealth of Australia and become a republic, which we have been since 1986, a republic. But we must remember, it is not lawful. We never really had a government because the people are the government. Since, let's look at our constitution, which they destroyed and removed. Whitlam and these ratbags down the bottom, Whitlam and Hawke, and of course Malcolm Fraser helped out with Hawke, and the politicians of today have carried on the lie. We have royal commissions without a queen, but they do have a queen. They have the Queen of Australia. Now, we don't know who she is, what gender it is, because she does not exist. Now, how did they get away with all these lies? Well, they have lawyers in the government. They're in everybody's government. And an enormous amount of them are lawyers. Now, lawyers do not lie. Just like the government. They don't lie. And I'll give you an example. This lawyer, who had 11 children, moved into a small town, and he asked the real estate agent, the property manager, to rent him a house. He took one of his children with him, who was sitting beside him on the chair, and he filled in, she asked the questions, dress and all the usual, and she says, how many children do you have? And he said, oh, I've got 11. And the girl looked at him in probably shock. We can't rent you a house for 11 children, it's pretty impossible. Where are the rest of the children, she said. Oh, he said, they're up in the graveyard with their mother. And the young girl went, oh my God. She was shocked, thought they were dead. And of course he got the house. But what he failed to tell her was he asked his wife and 10 children to visit the graveyard, because they tell us they might find something of interest. They were into graves, old history and so on and so forth. So it wasn't a lie, he was just telling the truth. Well, that's exactly what the government have done with us. They were supposed to be public servants, but in actual fact, they never are. They're not our servants. There's no public servants. When people accuse the poor old police force, well, we pay your wages, you are a public servant. Correction. No, they're not. They're a private corporation. Not the police's fault. Don't blame the police. They're victims just like you and I. They got mortgages, rents to pay, children to feed, schools to pay, and so on and so forth. It's our fault. My fault, and people of my age, we allowed it to happen. In fact, some of us may have voted for them. We allowed it to happen, so the blame is us. What we've got to do now is to inform the people who do not know, who are asleep now like we were then. That's what we've got to do. We must change this before our generation, the next generation, is totally destroyed. The freedoms which we once knew have gone. The sad thing is, the well-educated people are totally convinced that the media, the press in general, give them the truth. In fact, there's only one news agency I actually trust, and that's Fox News. Al Jazeera? Yes. The rest just feed you garbage. Whenever you hear the roars of a football coming from your TV or coming from the stadiums, and if you ask the question, who is winning? The answer is the government. Well, the corporation. They're winning. Not the poor guys in there making some money chasing that ball of wind around the place, or the cricketers. And everybody else is focusing on that. That's all part of the system. I think it goes back to the old Protestant ethic. Everybody had to have a job. Well, that doesn't work very much now in England. And the government feeds you all this crap. And the media are totally hooked. Most of your reporters, they're left-wing. They're already brainwashed, institutionalized in their own silliness. Look at America, the Democrats, trying to destroy a president who has done more for them in history. America now is exporting oil where before they were totally reliant on the Middle East, thanks to Donald Trump. And if you ask somebody, do you like Donald Trump? And sadly, most women will say, no, I don't like him. A lot of guys too, but mostly women. And you ask them why? Oh, I don't know, because he lies, because he's this and that, he doesn't. Unemployment has reduced, jobs have increased in America. They're exporting oil for the first time. Motor companies are not leaving anymore, they're coming back. 60 new steel production factories have regenerated in America. Coal industry. Oh, the coal. We mustn't mention coal because coal, the Greens don't like coal. And just look at our bushfire. They would not allow the bush brigades to clear up all the waste material which is lying out the country where there's lots of forests and the roadsides are full of fallen trees. People should be allowed to go in there and pick them up, cut them up, take them home and use them in their fires. Oh no, they'd probably get arrested. And whose fault is it? Not the people looking at this now, but the people who refuse to look at this now. The people watching this now know, and they're trying to educate those who do not. But I'll tell you what, it is an extremely uphill battle and a one-way street in most cases. We say, wake up Australia. Well, just remember back to when we were asleep when all this happened. It's just as hard for them now as it was for us. If someone tried to tell you in 1988, 89 what was happening, you would not believe it. Our Governor-Generals now take a lawful oath to Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors. Our politicians don't. The Labour Party have no way in the world would they take an oath of allegiance to anybody. Have a look at Julia Gillard. Let's look at some of them, we get a chance. Nothing but liars, criminals, treasonous, unconscionable conduct. The list goes on. Perverting the course of justice. There's so many charges to be laid against them, and I quite believe that's going to happen this year coming now. There are people in England right now, and the Privy Council have taken up the case. Yes, the Privy Council and the House of Lords are now looking at that Act of 1986 with good grounds to say it was not lawful, as it was not lawful.
I invite you to thank the oath of allegiance.
Thank you. I, David John Hurley, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God.
And got carried out. So, how did it happen and why? Well, in many respects, the government which came to an end here on the steps of Parliament House 10 years ago was an experiment, a grand experiment that failed. That experiment began on the night of December 2nd, 1972, when the Australian people elected their first Labor federal government in 23 years. In many ways, those years in the wilderness were at the heart of Labor's failure. Gough Whitlam himself had been on the opposition benches for 20 years. Many of his new ministers were old men who'd spent the best years of their lives in opposition. On November 11, 1975, the Governor-General, Sir John Kerr, stepped in. Kerr imposed his own solutions. He took the unprecedented step of dismissing Gough Whitlam and appointing Malcolm Fraser as caretaker Prime Minister. Fraser promised to make no major policy decisions and to hold an election as soon as possible. And on the steps of Parliament House, the Governor-General's secretary read that historic proclamation.
By His Excellency's command, Malcolm Fraser, Prime Minister, John R. Kerr, Governor-General. God save the Queen.
Well may we say, God save the Queen. Because nothing will save the Governor-General.
For the first time, cameras were allowed inside the Governor-General's study.
I, Robert James Lee Hawke, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors, according to law, so help me God.
I, Scott John Morrison, do swear that I will well and truly serve the people of Australia in the office of Prime Minister, and that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, Queen of Australia, so help me God.
To take and subscribe the oath of office as Prime Minister.
I, Kevin Michael Rudd, do swear that I will well and truly serve the Commonwealth of Australia, her land and her people, in the office of Prime Minister, so help me God.
Would you sign the document there?
The Honourable Anthony Norman Albanese MP, to be Minister for Infrastructure and Transport and Minister for Regional Australia and Local Government, and to be Deputy Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Australia.
Mr Albanese, I invite you to make and subscribe the affirmation of office as Minister for Infrastructure and Transport and Minister for Regional Australia and Local Government.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I, Anthony Norman Albanese, do swear that I will well and truly serve the Commonwealth of Australia, her land and her people in the office of Minister for Infrastructure and Transport and Minister for Regional Australia and Local Government.
Would you sit down and sign the document, please?
Well, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed looking at my little one-man presentation. A one-man presentation, that's exactly what it is. I'm here on my own. Nice studio. But I built it with my own hands. I'm telling lies. No, the government don't tell lies. Remember, the government do not tell lies. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and I'd like to thank all those new subscribers. I don't get paid for it, so when you subscribe, it makes me think, well, at least somebody is saying thanks for the information. Whether it's useful or not, well, I'll leave that up to you. After all, we do live in a world of fiction. Bye for now. And watch out for the next lot of videos on the powers of arrest, which I hope to make soon, and how to do it. Bye for now.
Yeah, he was gonna change for his newfound flame to keep her satisfied.